on the Crimson Tide Sports Network, a property of Learfield Sports.
Touchdown, Alabama!
Live from Bob's Victory Grill in Tuscaloosa, this is Hey Coach, presented by Alpha. For the best agents in the business, call Alpha. Hey Coach is brought to you by Golden Flake, the official chip of the Crimson Tide. Your Alabama Ford dealers. Alabama Saturdays, built Ford tough. Bud Light, the perfect beer when you're up for whatever. And by Coke Zero, real Coke taste, 0 calories. Here is your host, Tom Roberts.
Good evening, everybody. Roll Tide, and welcome to SEC time for Alabama football and soccer, and pretty soon volleyball too. Crimson Tide starting the conference wars with the Florida Gators on Saturday afternoon at Bryant-Denny. Coach Nick Saban will be here in about 30 minutes to talk about that game, as well as the Tide's 52-12 win over Southern Miss last Saturday. Bama soccer also starting SEC action, also playing the Florida Gators. That tomorrow night at the Bama Soccer Stadium. Coach Todd Bramble here to talk about his team, which wrapped up its pre-conference schedule with a 2-0 win over UAB last Friday. Crimson Tide volleyball is finally at home. In fact, the Crimson Tide beat the UAB Blazers on Tuesday in the first match this year at Foster Auditorium. This weekend, it's the Crimson White Tournament. Ed Allen's here to talk about the field in that one. We're also going to take a look at the schedule for the weekend, which is going to be a very busy one here in T-Town, including a 50-year reunion for the national champions of 1964. And here at Hey Coach of the Nick Saban Show, we have not one, but two media guests tonight. We'll introduce you to them in just a few minutes. Special welcome, I don't know if he's here yet, but former assistant coach Howard Schnellenberger expected to sign books tonight here at Bob's Victory Grill. And we also welcome four special guests from the Walter Camp Foundation. Warren Collins, Al DiLeonardo, Lynn Maselli, and Vin DeLorno are here with us. Glad to have you gentlemen with us as well. And one other note, if you're coming to town tomorrow early for the football game, make sure you come on by the Sarah Patterson Champions Plaza at 4:30 tomorrow afternoon as we honor last year's SEC and national champions for the University of Alabama. All right, as we said, Coach Saban will be here in about 30 minutes. If you're here at Bob's Victory Grill, Jessica Weiger will be running around with a microphone. Most of the time she'll be stationed right over here by the end of the bar. If you want to ask a question, find her. We got all kinds of prizes, including a $50 gift card from University Mall. If you're sitting there at home, want to ask a question, 877-202-BAMA is our telephone number. All right, we're going to talk Bama soccer. Coming up next, this is the Crimson Tide Sports Network from Learfield Sports.
Do game day right. With LG, it's all possible. LG home appliances are right in step with your busy world. The largest capacity washer in its class saves you up to 20 minutes per load, even on larger loads. LG's door-and-door refrigerators offer instant access to gotta-have snacks. And with LG Easy Clean, you've got a sparkling oven in minutes. Come check out the latest in LG innovations at your local Best Buy or online at bestbuy.com/LG.
Hey Tide fans, when you're getting ready for this week's game, stock up on Golden Flake. Pick up your favorite bag of Golden Flake potato chips, Tostados, or cheese puffs, and you'll be ready to tailgate like a true Tide fan. Golden Flake, the favorite chip of the Alabama Crimson Tide.
The best choice you can make is a big bag of Golden Flake.
Once in a while, a player comes along and completely changes the game.
Unbelievable catch!
It's no different when it comes to a truck. A truck that doesn't just change the game, but dominates it. The 2014 Toyota Tundra. Now get 0% APR for 36 months on the new 2014 Toyota Tundra. Toyota, let's go places. Offer valid September 3rd through September 30th, 2014. $0 down approved credit. Monthly payment $41,000. Finance is $27.78. Excludes tax tag, registration, title, and dealer fees. Cannot combine with other offers.
The tide will be rolling soon, but if you haven't gotten your Bama Banking Visa check card, you're not really ready for kickoff. Bama Banking, exclusively from BBVA Compass, is the perfect way to show your pride in the tide. Call 1-800-COMPASS or go online at bbvacompass.com/Bama. Bama builds champions. At BBVA Compass, you can be a champion too by sporting one of our limited edition Bama Banking check cards. Sign up for Bama Banking and show your pride every time you use your check card. Call 1-800-COMPASS or go online at bbvacompass.com/Bama.
Before you get in, get going, get gone, you need to get a tire that gets you. We suggest a Cooper tire. After all, Cooper engineers its tires not just for performance, but real-life performance. Because life's a road trip. Come on, let's go. Buy 4 qualifying Cooper tires and get up to a $70 prepaid card by mail. Visit a participating Cooper tire retailer or CooperTireRebates.com for reward forms and official terms and conditions.
Saturday morning at 10. Welcome back to Hey Coach, presented by Alpha Insurance. We're live at Bob's Victory Grill here in Tuscaloosa. Joining us on stage, the head coach of the Alabama soccer team, Todd Bramble. How you doing, Coach?
Fantastic. Happy to be here. It's a great crowd tonight.
It is a great crowd. You'd think it was the start of the SEC for football and for you guys in soccer, too. And both of us play in the Gators.
Yeah, that's certainly going to make for an exciting weekend here in Tuscaloosa.
It definitely will be, and the Gators bring an awfully good team. You said they're number 6 in America?
5, 6, something like that, but who cares?
I like the way your team's playing right now, and you kind of got ready for it with a 2-0 win over UAB last Friday, and you had Sunday off, too.
Yeah, this is a good preparation coming into the weekend. Second consecutive 2-0 victory, so scoring some goals, getting some wins, getting shutouts, building confidence, and then some extra rest going into it. So I'm feeling good about our preparation.
To me, there's so many good things that are happening with your team. One is you've scored 17 goals in 7 games this season. Took you longer than that last year, didn't it?
Yeah, a lot longer. Things seem to be clicking on offense for us right now. We're creating a lot of chances. Could have scored a few more goals in the last 2 games, but I'd be more concerned if we weren't creating chances to begin with. So creating a lot of good quality chances, and I like where we're at right now offensively.
Well, I like the fact, and I would think you do too, that you got a couple of seniors leading the way in Laura Lee Smith and Teresa Diedrich. They're playing very, very well, aren't they?
Yeah, they're definitely leading us. They're playing like seniors. Teresa's a 5th-year senior, but that's something that every team needs is some veterans to sort of put the team in their back in tough situations and carry the load a little bit more. And they're doing a great job of that right now for us.
Offensively, you're doing better. Defensively, you're playing better this year too, aren't you?
We are, that's a team concept. When you think defensively, a lot of people's minds go straight to the goalkeeper or our back line, but we've got total team buy-in from that standpoint. So we've proven to be a tough team to score on so far, and I don't expect that to change on Friday night.
In goal, you've been pretty strong too, haven't you?
We have, and we've got 2 good goalkeepers up to this point. We've been sort of going back and forth with Emily Rusk and Kat Stratton, and they've both done a very, very good job. So the plan for that was to, once we name a starter, which Emily's going to be in goal for us against Florida, and once we get into SEC play, I think she's our starting goalkeeper at the moment. But Kat is well prepared if we get that unfortunate situation of getting an injury. We've got somebody that can step in that's got game experience this year and is ready to go. That
always helps. All right, 7 o'clock tomorrow night against the Gators. Any special promotions?
Yeah, our marketing group's got a lot of stuff going on. It's going to be a great night out at the soccer stadium. I think I'm looking at here, the first 100 kids get a free hot dog and a drink. They'll have face painting going on, post-game autographs, and they've got a new release movie. They're going to go. We've got a big jumbotron.
Yeah.
So they're going to show The Edge of Tomorrow right after the game, and it's Teresa Diedrich's senior night. So she's from Florida, so it's going to be a really special night for her. So we're hoping a lot of fans come out and give her a nice. Just honor her in a nice way.
I hope so too, because she has been a tremendous tremendous asset for this program, hasn't she?
Yeah, just a real ambassador for the university, for our athletic department. She's, going to have her master's degree when she leaves here at the end of this year. She's been our 3-year captain on the team, which is very rare, which means she was voted a captain as her sophomore.
Wow.
So she's just a total package. She's a great player. She's a great person. She's a great student, and we're really proud of her.
All right, Florida tomorrow night at 7, and then on Sunday you have a match too, don't you?
Alabama State at 1 o'clock.
At 1 o'clock,
Yep.
okay.
First Sunday afternoon game of the year.
Todd, thanks for stopping by. Good luck this weekend against the Gators.
Happy to be here. Hope we get 2 wins over the Gators this weekend. Roll Tide.
Roll Tide. Todd Bramble, head coach of the Alabama soccer team. Crimson Tide taking on the Florida Gators tomorrow night. It is a 7 o'clock start at the Bama Soccer Stadium. Bama fans, you can download the official Alabama Game Day app and get every digital football game day program free. It's easy. Just search for Alabama Game Day from your app store and update for each game. Download now the official Alabama Game Day app presented by Adobe DPS, your best way to mobilize the Tide. Bama volleyball coach Ed Allen next. This is the Crimson Tide Sports Network from Learfield Sports.
It's me, your heart. High blood pressure is serious, and if you think I'm just going to keep ticking away, you're wrong. I can quit whenever I want, but I like my job. Just treat me better. Maybe we can do some exercise on occasion? After all, we're in this together.
Don't let your heart quit on you. High blood pressure can lead to a stroke, heart attack, or death. Get yours to a healthy range before it's too late. Find out how at heart.org/blood pressure. A message from the American Heart Association, the American Stroke Association, and the Ad Council.
This year, firefighters will battle thousands of wildfires around the country in hopes of containing them. But a single ember that escapes can travel more than 1 mile, where it can ignite and destroy your home or community. You can't control where the ember will land, only what happens when it does. Prepare, protect, prevail. Get fire adapted. Learn simple steps you could take now to reduce wildfire damage later at fireadapted.org. A public service message brought to you by the U.S. Forest Service and the Ad Council. Learn more at fireadapted.org.
I'm in the car next to you on the highway. I sit in front of you on the bus. I'm 1 out of every 6 Americans, and I'm struggling with hunger. This isn't an uncontrollable epidemic. There's enough food in this country to feed every hungry person. Please, visit feedingamerica.org today and find your local food bank. Every dollar you donate helps provide 7 meals for those around you, quietly struggling with hunger. Together, we're Feeding America.
Brought to you by Feeding America and the Ad Council.
Hey, parents of children with asthma, here's another hit from the Breathe Easies.
Come on and clean up the mold. Whoa. Clean up the mold. Whoa. Mold can trigger asthma in kids young and old. Come on and clean up the mold. Whoa. Clean up the mold in your house. Whoa.
This song may be fun, but childhood asthma is not. Preventing asthma attacks can be as simple as cleaning up the mold and mildew in your house. For more Breathe Easy tips to help stop asthma attacks, go to noattacks.org, brought to you by the EPA and the Ad Council.
I bet that does freak me.
Oh, yeah. Oh. Yeah.
Oh. Welcome back to Bob's Victory Grill in Tuscaloosa. The Hey Coach, presented by Alpha Insurance. Joining us on the stage is Stranger, a guy who's only been here once all season. But then again, his volleyball team has only played 1 match here all season. That's Coach Ed Allen. How you doing, Ed?
Doing great, Tom.
I'm glad you're back at home. And I know you and your family are glad you're back at home and actually going to play an entire weekend in Tuscaloosa.
It's hard to believe, isn't it? Our kids, getting the chance to open up on Tuesday at home, we're extremely excited about it.
That was a good match on Tuesday night, wasn't it? You beat UAB, a sweep, and I think it was the 4th straight match you'd swept.
Yeah, it was. Really playing extremely well since our trip back from Virginia. So excited about, I think, what, especially starting SEC play here pretty soon.
Yeah, that's one thing. I guess next week you'll hit the road to open SEC play.
We will at Georgia, so it should be a pretty exciting match.
Well, let's talk about what's coming up this weekend, or actually let's talk just a little bit about what's happened with your team so far. You've only lost the 2 matches. Crystal Rivers has been just unbelievable despite her head coach moving her from one position to another, but I think she kind of likes it, doesn't she?
Oh, no question, and the impact she's been able to have. I mean, right now I think she's ranked 20th in the country in service aces, and that was a kid that wasn't even serving last year. So she's making a huge impact already. In the UAB match, she had almost 700, Tom, and had 18 kills, and I think a couple of service aces, and just making me look extremely bright right now.
That's right. 3 block assists, too. Don't forget those. Because I think she's proud of blocks, isn't she?
No question. And I think she's approaching that very much like attacking, you know, and trying to bring that a component to her play.
All right. The other lady, and, of course, you've got a bunch of folks who are having good seasons, but did you expect that Kat Hudson, as a freshman, would have the impact that she's having on the team?
Well, she's quite a player. As you get a chance to watch her. I mean, hits maybe one of the heaviest balls in the country. And we used to joke when we were recruiting her, you could walk into a gym and tell when she swung because it just stood out, you know. So we expected her to have a great year. I'm not sure we expected it to be where it is at this point right now. I mean, she's hitting in the high 400s in some matches, and that's quite impressive for an outside hitter, and particularly who's a freshman.
Averaging 3.5 kills a set, started every match this season. That's sensational. And you're going to need that this weekend because this is a pretty good field in the Crimson White tournament, isn't it?
It is, and I think, you know, all 3 of the teams are going to have successful seasons and have played pretty good talent coming into this tournament. And, you know, we expect to finish the tournament off, hopefully playing a very talented Clemson team for the championship who comes in 9-1 right now.
9-1. Well, you got a doubleheader tomorrow. Florida International at noon, San Diego State at 7. I thought the other great thing about the UAB match the other night, you had close to 1,000 fans in Foster.
We have, you know, we've been able to basically triple attendance in the last 3 years, Tom, and you know, we expect to have you know, a couple matches this year that may be sellout type of matches.
Well, I would hope that'll happen once you get into SEC play. I think the coaches picked you to finish 4th in the league. And some of your players have kind of taken that as a challenge. They think they can do better.
Yeah, I think, you know, there's certainly the ability to do better. We'll see how the season plays out, but we all know what polls are worth, right?
Yeah. Well, that's what coaches say anyway. Yeah. All of us as fans love it. I love the fact that you're ranked 4th out of a field of 13 or 14 teams in the league, where 5 years ago would not have been ranked that high.
Well, I think we were, you know, when we came in, Tom, we were last. So
yes.
It's been a great improvement for sure.
Well, Todd and I were talking about what the marketing folks put together for his weekend. Any specials coming up for your weekend at the Crimson White Classic?
Well, I think, you know, just really going to try to hit the football crowd after they have a chance to see Bama take care of the Gators. You know, being able to wander into Foster and watch our 7 o'clock match against Clemson would be huge.
It sounds like a great plan to me. You got plenty of time. You don't have to worry. If you can go by and watch the volleyball match at 7, you don't have to worry about the traffic. By the time the match is over around 9 o'clock or so, you ought to be able to get out of town just nice and easy.
No question, and probably some will be in a lot better shape to do that, too.
You're probably right about that. All right, one final question. As you go into this classic and then sooner or later into SEC play, you kind of satisfied? I know you're not satisfied, but are you kind of pleased with the way your team's progressing?
Oh, no question. You know, we're 9-2 right now, playing 4 brand new players to the team as well, and I think the possibilities as we enter December are going to be huge. And you know, I think it speaks volumes to our players when they find it insulting to be picked 4th in the league. You know, and I think it should be an exciting year for us.
I think it will be, and I hope Bama fans will come on out tomorrow at noon and 7 o'clock on Saturday night. Ed Allen, thanks for stopping by, and glad you're back at Foster Auditorium.
Thanks, Tom.
Ed Allen, head coach of the Alabama volleyball team. If you can't make it, you can keep up with the action on RollTide.com. It pays to be a Crimson Tide fan with Best Western of Alabama. Whether you're traveling for work or play, get up to 20% off rates and a chance to win a $100 travel card this fall. Visit bestwesternalabama.com/RollTide. We're going to take a look at the weekend schedule and also our Cooper Tire Performance of the Week. That's next. This is the Crimson Tide Sports Network from Learfield Sports.
Excuse me, sir. What's the best day of your life?
My wedding day.
Where would you rank going to the November 29th Alabama-Auburn game?
Whoa, are you serious?
Yeah, you and a guest would get 2 game tickets, VIP hospitality, pre-game sideline passes, and more, courtesy of your local Ford dealer.
Best day ever!
Just go to alabamasaturdays.com and enter the Rammer Jammer fan experience.
Oh, I hope my wife wasn't listening.
Must be 18 years or older with a valid Alabama driver's license to enter. For details and complete rules, visit alabamasaturdays.com.
Hey, Alabama fans, make every day feel like game day with the University of Alabama Visa Check Card from Regions. Regions helps you move life forward with checking account features like online banking with bill pay, mobile banking with Regions Mobile Deposit, and cashback rewards. Regions is a proud sponsor of your Alabama Crimson Tide and is the official bank of the SEC. Visit Regions.com/GoBama for more information, or go to any Regions bank to order your University of Alabama check card today. Regions, member FDIC. Terms, conditions, and fees may apply.
Ready for this week's game? We're talking the rumbling roar of Big Al and another epic Roll Tide. But we're also talking great pizza. As a Crimson Tide sponsor, Red Baron Pizza is kicking off your game day at Tailgate at yourplace.com with party ideas, recipes, school trivia, plus a chance to win over $150,000 in prizes. Buy yours at Winn-Dixie. Winn-Dixie has great deals every day on Red Baron Pizza.
Looking for the ultimate tire for your performance luxury touring vehicle? Look no further than the new Ventus S1 Noble 2 from Hankook Tire. Packed with the latest design and compounding elements focused on maximizing efficient water evacuation, providing impressive wet handling and braking, increasing cornering grip, and improving winter condition traction. The Ventus S1 Noble 2 is the ideal balance of all-season and ultra-high performance. To see more of the Ventus S1 Noble 2, visit USA Tires in Decatur. Be one with it. Hankook Tires.
Can I grab you a Coors Light?
Yeah, that sounds good.
Hey, buddy! You got 2 Coors Lights up there?
With a taste as cold as the Rockies, only Coors Light gives you refreshment every time.
Here you go.
Wow, these are really cold.
That's the only way I deliver it.
Coors Light, the world's most refreshing beer. Coors Brewing Company, Golden, Colorado. With great beer comes great responsibility.
Cold hard fact. When it comes to Rocky Mountain Cold Coors Light, remember, 21 means 21. Coors Light reminds you, with great beer comes great responsibility.
Welcome back to Hey Coach, presented by Alpha Insurance. For the best agents in the business, call Alpha. We're live at Bob's Victory Grill, Midtown Village in Tuscaloosa. Thank you for the applause. I appreciate that. It's time now to take a look at the Cooper Tire Performance of the Week, presented by Cooper Tires. Life's a road trip. Come on, let's go. And visit CooperTire.com to find your local Cooper Tires dealer. And the coaching staff decided 8 players deserve recognition as Players of the Week. One of them, no surprise whatsoever, Amari Cooper, now averaging 11 catches a game, had 8 for 135 yards, and went up past Ozzie Newsome for number 3 on the all-time career receiving yardage list. Austin Shepard, also honored, had the highest grade on the offensive line, did not give up a sack or a penalty, had 5 knockdown blocks. And Blake Sims, the quarterback, 12 of 17 for 168 yards with 2 touchdowns, no interceptions, also ran for a score. On defense, the Tide limited Southern Miss to 56 yards on the ground, and the coaching staff went with 3 guys there. Landon Collins, who had a dozen tackles, Trey DePriest and Xavier Dixon, who did an outstanding job as well. Been on special teams, Rashawn Evans and Kenyon Drake, the special teams honorees by the coaching staff. And that's our Cooper Tire Performance of the Week. Now, let's take a look at Crimson Tide Tailgate Tradition, brought to you by Red Baron Pizza. Our weekly tradition during the season is to honor former Bama stars by making them honorary captains. And this week, we go back 50 years to the national championship team of 1964. One of their coaches, first of all, here tonight, Howard Schnellenberger. Glad to have you in the house. Thanks for stopping by. The 2 honorary captains for Saturday will be Dan Curley and Mickey Andrews. Dan, an All-American defensive tackle on the 64 champions from Talladega. Mickey came to Bama from Ozark, and obviously a great defensive back, went on to do a pretty good job as the defensive coordinator for Bobby Bowden at Florida State. Dan and Mickey are going to join us alongside our radio stage on Saturday out in front of the stadium at the corner of Wallace Way Drive and University Boulevard in our Mercedes-Benz Fan Fest area. They'll be signing autographs starting at 11 o'clock Saturday morning. This Crimson Tide Tailgate Tradition brought to you by Red Baron Pizza. Visit tailgateatyourplace.com for great game day ideas and enter for a chance to win $150,000 in prizes. All right, coming up next, we're going to introduce you to our media guest for this evening, including one rather large gentleman who was a pretty good football player for LSU and the Dallas Cowboys. That's next. This is the Crimson Tide Sports Network from Learfield Sports.
Hey, Alabama fans, Academy Sports and Outdoors is the place to go when you need the gear to support your team. Academy is your one-stop shop for Crimson Tide jerseys, t-shirts, caps, novelty items, and more at everyday low prices. Be sure to visit your local Academy store or academy.com to stock up on Crimson Tide gear for the season. Academy Sports and Outdoors, official sponsor of the Alabama Crimson Tide.
The right stuff, the low price, every day. Academy.
Toyota Materials Handling of Alabama is the authorized dealer for Toyota forklifts, the world's #1 forklift manufacturer right here in the USA. Toyota Materials Handling has short and long-term rentals available ranging from 3 to 36,000 pounds, and they provide parts and service for any model forklift. Ask Toyota Materials Handling about their no hidden fees guarantee and service loaner program. Call Toyota Materials Handling of Alabama today and speak with their consultants. Call toll-free 866-957-2250 or go online to toyotamaterials.com.
Nothing means it's game day like ice-cold Coke Zero, because zero means it's game day.
What about when...
No.
But you don't even know what I was going to say.
Were you going to say zero means it's game day, so therefore nothing means it's game day like Coke Zero?
No, but...
Then it doesn't matter, does it? The refreshing taste of Coke Zero. Zero means it's game day.
Hey, this is Coach Nick Saban. Like you, Coke Zero is a proud sponsor of the Crimson Tide. So when you're enjoying the game this season, feel free to crack open a Coke Zero and enjoy that too. Roll Tide.
Insurance is simply being prepared.
Security.
To cover the what-ifs. I'm there to help protect my families.
You want to protect everything you've worked for.
The people that I deal with purchase insurance because they love somebody.
I think of insurance as being a promise.
That I'm going to be there when you need me.
I'm giving them a promise that if they have a loss, I'm going to be there.
That's the Alpha way. That's what we do.
For the best agents in the business, call Alpha.
Welcome back to Hey Coach of the Nick Saban Show, presented by Alpha Insurance, live at Bob's Victory Grill in Midtown Village. And, you know, usually we have one media guest every week. This week we have two. And one of them qualifies as maybe being 2.5. From ESPN.com, Joe Tessitore and Marcus Spears. Glad to have you gentlemen with us.
Glad to be here. Roll Tide. I can't say that.
Marcus is not going to say that.
I can say that all day long. Best of luck.
Let's talk about, first of all, you guys are in town for the SEC Nation Saturday morning?
Saturday morning, yeah. 10 a.m. to noon Eastern.
Yeah.
So it'll be 9 to 11 here over near Moore Hall, near the Quad. Going to have a big crowd there, I hear.
Has that been a ton of fun for you guys?
It has been a blast. And it's mostly been a blast because of the people on the road.
Yeah.
Marcus is just so good to be with. Tim Tebow's with us, Paul Feinbaum's with us, but you just got a lot of people that love talking ball, love having big meals, love watching ball. And
I'm the big meal guy.
Yeah, that would be you and me, because I'm a big meal guy too. It's got to be more fun for you to be in Tuscaloosa doing this than maybe when you came here as an LSU Tiger playing for the guy who's going to sit on your right, Nick Saban.
Yeah, it's a blast to be on this side with a non-biased opinion. I've been having a blast on the road, just getting around the culture of the SEC and having the opportunity to see what goes on outside of the game. Because when I was a player, and that's what people don't know, is we never see that kind of stuff. And it's been absolutely tremendous. I'm looking forward to Saturday morning here.
All right, before he gets here, what was it like playing for Nick Saban?
It was the best time of my life, to be honest with you. I had me and Coach formed a great relationship. We've extended that to now, and we've just, you know, I've kept up with what he's been doing, and tremendously proud of what he's been able to do. And he kept up with me while I was in the NFL. So the relationship is great, and this is the most unfamiliar territory I've ever been in.
Well, Joe and
Marcus, he dressed properly, didn't he?
He sure did.
Yeah,
he got on the red shirt.
Bit.
Well, all right, you two guys stand by here while we do a little bit of business. First of all, let's pause 10 seconds for station identification. This is the Crimson Tide Sports Network.
Which one's us, right here? And he's this?
Alabama 811 reminds you before you replace a mailbox or install a fence, know what's below by calling 811. Utility companies will come and locate, mark the buried line so you'll know where to dig carefully. Call 811. And our Alabama 811 first caller coming up in just a few moments for Coach Nick Saban. This is the Crimson Tide Sports Network from Learfield Sports.
Dear John, I'm leaving. Uncontrolled high blood pressure is serious, and I can quit whenever I want. Why can't we get back to when you checked on me? I don't want to leave, but remember, when I quit, you quit. Sincerely, your heart.
Listen to your heart. Don't let it quit on you. High blood pressure can lead to a stroke, heart attack, or death. Get yours to a healthy range today. Find out how at heart.org/blood pressure. A message from the American Heart Association, the American Stroke Association, and the Ad Council.
Is that a faucet running? That's not a faucet. That's a river rushing through the forest. Forest rivers provide over 100 million people with clean water to drink. What? I can't hear you because of the vacuum. That's not a vacuum. That's the trees in the forest cleaning up the air we breathe. I didn't know the trees were so amazing. Yep, and the forest gives us shade, trees to climb. That's awesome. Let's go explore some more.
Visit the forest today and enjoy all it does, just for you. To learn more about the forest and find one near you, go to discovertheforest.org. Brought to you by the U.S. Forest Service and the Ad Council.
Chances are there'll never be an emergency ever again. But just in case, let's talk about a plan.
Okay.
Who is going to grab the go bag?
What's a go bag?
It is a bag we do not have that is filled with things we really, really need in an emergency.
Guess we won't have to worry about it then.
Well, this is great. I am so glad that we don't have a plan.
I know.
Winging it is not an emergency plan. Make sure your kids know what to do during an emergency. Who to call, where to meet, what to pack. Visit ready.gov/kids for tips and information. Brought to you by FEMA and the Ad Council.
Okay, kids, who remembers where we're all going to meet in case of an emergency?
Grand Central Station.
Times Square.
Higher ground.
Where's that?
The mountain, son.
But we live in the city.
Good point.
What about supplies?
Your mom has all those canned beets somewhere in the apartment.
What about water?
We have a few gallons stored in the basement.
We don't have a basement.
Winging it is not an emergency plan. Make sure your kids know what to do during an emergency. Who to call, where to meet, what to pack. Search Ready Kids at nyc.gov or call 311. Brought to you by the New York City Office of Emergency Management and the Ad Council.
Live from Bob's Victory Grill in Tuscaloosa, this is the Nick Saban Show. Presented by Alpha. For the best agents in the business, call Alpha. Also brought to you by Golden Flake, the official chip of the Crimson Tide. Your Alabama Ford dealers. Alabama Saturdays. Built Ford tough. Bud Light, the perfect beer when you're up for whatever. And by Coke Zero. Real Coke taste, 0 calories. Now, with Coach Nick Saban, here's Tom Roberts.
Thank you very much, and welcome back to Bob's Victory Grill, to the Nick Saban Show, presented by Alpha Insurance. On the stage, we have our media guest, Joe Tessitore, and Marcus Spears, and just joining us, head coach of the Crimson Tide, Nick Saban. How you doing, Coach?
Doing great, man.
I may not be able to see you tonight. There's some big guy. How good a player was Marcus Spears?
Very good. One of the best. One of the best. And, you know, probably one of the things that I respect most is, you know, when I was at LSU, and I know y'all don't care about that, but we really started this program there the same way we did here when we got Julio Jones and Mark Barron and some of the players in the state. But he was one of the first guys, him and Michael Clayton from Baton Rouge, to come, and when we weren't any good, and they ended up being the cornerstones of the program. And I got to tell you this, Miss Terry, the two of them fished all our catfish out of our pond every damn day.
Well, it's great having him and Joe here. And Joe, I'm going to let you have the first question for the coach for the evening.
Well, I love talking to Coach all the time. I just broadcast the game last week. He was kind enough to share some observations last week. Coach, last week when Brock and I were preparing for the broadcast, you spent a lot of time talking to us about how you assess a team. And I'm a big believer in that old axiom that teams don't stay the same. They either get better or worse. And we see that on Saturdays, but how do you go evaluating a team day after day in practice of trying to see where they're tracking and getting better or getting worse?
Well, I really think it all comes back to the type of people that you have on your team. Because I really think that in this day and age of football, with all the attention that's out there about everything that you do, you really got to be able to keep the main thing the main thing. And so many people right now, so many players get affected by all the external factors, all the things that are happening outside. You know, there's a lot of expectations. You know, people make comments, and all of a sudden you feel like, guys are really being defined by external factors and not really who they are. And what we really try to get our guys to do is focus on the things that they can control and do the things that they can do to improve so that they can get better. And they got to believe in the process of what's going to help them do that. Now, this group that we have this year has a really good attitude, and they worked hard, and I think we have improved as a team. I think we have a ways to go. I think we are a developing team. But I do like the attitude. I do like the way they work in practice, and I think that's going to contribute to how much we can improve throughout the season.
Marcus, it's been 10 or 11 years since you played for Nick Saban. I'm sure that there's bound to be a question that you've always wanted to ask the coach.
I probably have asked him all the questions that I need to. One thing I was looking at this game, and Will being the defensive coordinator when we were at LSU, how much of that plays into your preparation during the week, kind of having an idea of how you will be attacked from the defensive standpoint of what Florida will bring, and how much time would you spend with Lane Kiffin explaining to him some of the basic things that you would do on defense?
Well, there are a lot of similarities in terms of how Florida plays defense and how we play defense. Of course, Will was with us for a long time earlier on and has done a really good job of developing their players, and I think they have a really good defensive team, especially a really good front seven, most athletic that we've seen to this point. But, we spend a lot of time because I just tell them, and they kind of know from playing against us every day in practice, what we do, what we like to do. The only thing Will does a little different than we do is they play a little bit more 40 defense and bring the safety down weak, which I know most people here don't really care much about. But they do a lot more of that, and we sort of stay in the 3-4 and under and all that kind of stuff. But when it comes to nickel, when it comes to pressures, when it comes to basic philosophy, there is a whole lot of similarities.
All right, in the best seat in the house tonight from Birmingham, we have Jesse Glass, Christina Glass, Cindy Glass, and Butch Glass has the question. Butch, go for it.
Hi, Butch. Well, we have an off returner. We have two guys deep, and we have a primary returner that would like to get the ball fielded. And then we have an off returner who is also a capable returner, but probably a guy that can block effectively. And, if we get a ball that's not more than 3 yards deep in the end zone, we're probably going to try to bring it out. And the off returner will always sort of try to tell the guy, stay in, or we're going to go, and he makes the go call for the wedge, who's set up about 10 yards in front of, the catch. And, we have designed kickoff returns, as I'm sure you can see when you watch especially end zone copies of things, of the design of who you're double teaming, who you're kicking out, where you want to hit the ball, up, between a double team and a kick out. So there's no real set. Look, if a guy catches the ball 5 or 7 yards deep in the end zone and brings it out, I'm not going to be happy about it. All right, because we really want field position. We look for a 30-yard drive start when we do a kickoff return. That's our goal. We want to get the ball on the 30-yard line. We get on the 25 anyway. So bringing the ball out when it's 5 yards deep in the end zone, your odds on making that happen are not going to be very good. And the players understand that, and that's all part of making good judgments and good decisions about what you do and what you don't do. And, that word judgment is a big word right now. I gave a big speech about judgment today. All the stuff that's happening in sports and the way all the players are being criticized, and probably the 42 years that I've been doing this, I don't know that players are probably at the lowest level when it comes to respect to the public than any other time, based on all the things that have happened, whether it's domestic violence or whatever it is. And it all goes back to one thing, judgment, making good choices and decisions, thinking about what you do before you do it, and thinking about the consequences that each one of these judgments have. And, sometimes we have players that come from all different cultures, man. They come from the cities. They grew up in tough environments or whatever. But when they come here, it's not that way anymore. All right, and they have to learn how to make good choices and decisions based on the standards that we have in the program as a university and that everybody holds them to in terms of what they represent, which is the University of Alabama, the tradition of the university and all that. And I think we all have a responsibility and obligation to have personal development programs to help these guys make choices and decisions. We spent like $600,000 last year on personal development programs, whether it's drugs, alcohol, domestic violence, how to be a man, all kinds of things that we have people come in and educate our players on so they make better choices and decisions.
I like the applause here because that's exactly what colleges need to be doing. All right, the Alabama 811 first caller for the evening. You know who it is from Grand Bay, Alabama. Pee Wee's on the line. Roll Tide, Pee Wee.
Roll Tide, Tom.
Pee Wee, what's up, man? How'd the offensive line play last week? I know that's what you're going to ask me about.
Well, actually, they played pretty well, but and that is part of what I was going to ask about. You had just mentioned earlier about this probably being the most athletic front seven that we have faced to date. And then you also had referred to the offensive line as still a work in progress. I was just wondering if there's been any one player or maybe any groupings of players that might have stepped up this week to show some improvement when we facing a team as we're facing against Florida.
Right. Well, I think that, Cam Robinson's just going to get better and better the more he practices and the more he plays and the more confidence that he gets. He played his best game last week, so he's making improvement. I think Leon Brown is a guy that we have to get to continue to improve at right guard. Sept is pretty consistent. The center's pretty consistent. Our East pretty consistent. So if those two guys can get better, Dominic Jackson's probably the best backup and maybe one of the best five if we could ever get the guy on the field long enough to get the kind of repetitions that he needs to make the progress. He's a very powerful guy, could play guard or tackle. So I'm more concerned about those guys being able to execute and play together, because when we make errors on who we block, who we point out as the mic, that's usually when we had negative plays. Most of the negative plays that we had last week were really based on mental errors, not really inability to block people. But this will be the most athletic group that we have to block. They'll get off that and they can run better. So it'll be important for us to finish, our blocks in this game.
Coach, I saw somebody previewing the game this week that made a big deal out of one of the matchups there, and that is Cam against Fowler, number 6. Yet when I watched Florida back this week, I saw him moving around a lot. How much you think we're going to actually see of that matchup compared to what we saw on tape with Fowler? It looked like they were willing to put him anywhere throughout that front.
Well, I think, they do a lot like what we did with Dante Hightower and some of the players that we have here, and even Marcus played. He played it some. We have a Buck, a guy we call a Buck. So when we're in odd and nickel, the Buck linebacker can move around various places, and that's exactly what they do with number 6. But he is a pretty good edge rusher, and when they're in 40, he'll be down some on the edge. But when they get in odd, they move him around a lot, and he's pretty effective, running the inside stunts and all that kind of stuff. But I think he's most effective when he's an edge rusher. But the thing that I like about him the most is what a relentless competitor, man. The guy gives a lot of effort and tries to finish and makes a lot of plays on second effort.
Joe Tessitore, Marcus Spears, our media guest. We've got more questions for the coach coming up after we take our first time out. This is the Crimson Tide Sports Network from Learfield Sports.
Once in a while, a player comes along and completely changes the game.
Unbelievable catch!
It's no different when it comes to a truck. A truck that doesn't just change the game, but dominates it. The 2014 Toyota Tundra. Now get 0% APR for 36 months on the new 2014 Toyota Tundra. Toyota, let's go places. Offer valid September 3rd through September 30th, 2014. Zero down approved credit, monthly payment $41,000, finances $27.78. Excludes tax, tag, registration, title, and dealer fees. Cannot combine with other offers.
You're listening to Guy Talk, live from the Sport Clips Haircuts locker room. Caller, you're on the air.
My girlfriend beat me playing one-on-one.
Ooh, sounds like you need to hit up a Sport Clips for an awesome haircut experience and some quality man time.
I don't know. My girlfriend always takes me to her salon.
Nonsense. Be your own man and get a great haircut in a guy-friendly place from stylists who know what guys need.
You may be right.
Sure, I'm right. Now grab your Y chromosome, get down to Sport Clips, and ask for the MVP. Sport Clips. It's good to be a guy.
Be the hero of your tailgate this season. Go to eatatjacks.com to place your order for the ultimate fan fuel. Get your team ready for the big game with Jack's delicious hand-breaded chicken fingers, fried chicken, sides, biscuits, and more. Jack's now a proud partner of the Crimson Tide. Now let's talk about Sport Clips. You're a guy, and when you need a haircut, you need it right now. So come on in, because at Sport Clips, you never need an appointment. Visit any of our Alabama stores and ask for the MVP service. Sport Clips, it's good to be a guy.
All right, guys, listen up. Before you step out into the night, I want you to designate a driver, because great times don't happen without that guy. He's the guy who makes sure you don't act like an idiot in front of the cute girl across the room. He buys her a Budweiser and says it's from you. And then, at the end of the best night of your life, he makes sure you get her home safely. So raise high your butt for the hero of the night, the designated driver. Great times await. That's all fun.
Enjoy responsibly. Budweiser Beer, Anheuser-Busch, St. Louis, Missouri.
In the shotgun, here's Sims, gets the good snap, looks right, he fires and finds Cooper coming across at the 15, down the right side 10, he's to the 5, he is in, touchdown, Alabama, 22 yards of beauty from Sims to Amari Cooper.
Eli Gold with a call last Saturday as the Tide whipped up on Southern Mississippi. Welcome back to the Nick Saban Show, presented by Alpha Insurance. Joe Tessitore and Marcus Spears on stage with us. You gentlemen, I have seen Bama play and watched tape. Anybody better in America than Amari Cooper as a wide receiver?
No, I said last week on the ESPN broadcast, I know Bama hasn't won a Biletnikoff, but it's even money. It's going to happen this year.
I mean, the guy's averaging 11 catches a game.
No, it's incredible what he's doing. He's so productive, and they're getting the ball every which way.
I'm betting the house on it.
Yeah.
He's, it's very rare that you get a guy like that you can throw a 5-yard pass to and it may turn into 85, 90 yard.
He's just
run.
special.
And he's dynamic. And a question I have for you, because, I'm a player. I look at matchups. How excited are you to see Coop go against Hargraves this week? I think these are the two best players in the country at their respective position. How much of a matchup do you think, how much do you think they'll be matched up during the game? And also, I don't want to ask to get too many intricate details, but will you use him similar to how you've been using him the weeks prior?
Right. Well, first of all, I can't predict the matchups because we move Cooper around a lot. Trying so that they have a hard time doubling him or they have a hard time figuring out where he is.
Yeah.
I mean, when you leave a guy in the same place, it's pretty easy to figure out how we can take him out of the game. But when you move him around a lot, it gets a little more complicated. Now, saying all that to say this, they may just put Hargraves on him all the time. So they might be the whole game. Yeah. We've done that before. We just say, go match up. Now, when you go no huddle, it's a little harder to do that. We tried to do that. We used to do it all the time. But when we try to do it and the team goes no huddle, it's harder to get lined up because they're going fast sometimes. Now, we don't always go fast, but we can go fast. So I don't know if we'll try to do that or not, but it wouldn't surprise me if they did.
Yeah. All right, Joe, you got a question?
Coach, I want to broaden out the conversation just because something caught my eye this week, and it was when I sat back and I watched Arkansas, and I looked at the rankings, and you look at the SEC West, and I made the statement on air that I don't know that there's a better division, not in college football, but in sports. It's hard to see the bottom here when you look across the division. I know you're a big sports fan going back years, and you look at things very closely, but from top to bottom, have you ever seen a division that is deeper than what this currently is as it stands this week, just to look across, all the way across?
Well, I might be wrong about this, but somebody told me, I don't read the paper and I'm not on the internet and all that stuff, but somebody told me that 5 teams in our division are in the top 10.
That's correct.
That's correct.
Yeah.
And I personally think Mississippi State is one of the most underrated teams based on playing them last year, the players they have back, the quarterback they have back, and I did see their defense play this year because they played Southern Miss before we played them. So I watched them quite a bit, and they're pretty good on defense. We got really good players. So there may be actually 6 top 25 teams. Arkansas is much improved, probably the most improved team in our division. Our division has only lost 1 game this year, and that's when Auburn and Arkansas played. Somebody had to lose.
Right.
All right, so it's going to be, I don't ever remember it being this competitive. There's been a lot of years where we have maybe 3 really good teams, on the side. Then there was a little separation. But I'm telling you, all these teams could be really good, I think, this year. And what it's going to come down to is who can stay healthy and who can improve throughout the course of the season.
Coach, with that being said, is the attention to detail different? The way you try to explain that to your players with the conference being so deep, is it a different level of attention to detail when you do get into this SEC play? And I know, just being honest, when I was playing for you and we would play schools, I would already know that I'm about to have about 5 sacks, a lot of tackles, make a lot of plays. But when we got into division play, I could tell the difference in guys' mentality and mindset. Did you see that happen this week with your players? Was it kind of more of a lock-in and being cognizant of what's coming in here? And now being in this extensive part of the schedule, those guys maybe being a little more alert about everything that you're saying to them?
Right. I think that there's no question that once you start playing in league play, and that everybody sort of ramps up the intensity a notch, mental intensity. You know, people ask me all the time, well, what are you going to do different because you're playing an SEC game this week? Well, as a coach, you're always trying to get the players to play to a standard and a level and not do it relative to the competition like you just admitted to doing, which I used to try to get you not to do. All right? So that you can get better. Yeah, it worked out okay. All right. So that you can get better and you can improve. But I did see a different level of, and I think it happens in the mental energy part, the preparation, how much film you watch, sort of those types of things. I don't think you can practice any harder or whatever because, coaches are always trying to get guys to practice a certain way. But I was pleased with the way people responded this week, the way we practiced, and we had made some improvement.
Yeah. We got a full house tonight at Bob's Victory Grill, including a gentleman at the end of the bar there who wants to ask a question. And by the way, for asking, you're going to get the University Mall gift card. You can get special savings from stores at University Mall on Crimson weekends. Tell us who you are, where you're from.
My name is Eric. I'm from Prattville, Alabama.
Hey, Eric. How are you?
Roll Tide, Coach.
Roll Tide, man.
Heading into SEC play this weekend, has there been anything that has surprised you about this year's team during the first games of the season?
Well, not really. I was not especially pleased with the way we played in the first game. We made a lot of mental errors. I think we played with a lot of anxiety. I don't think we played with a lot of confidence. And I think we have a lot of young, inexperienced guys playing at certain positions, and you need a lot of older guys to sort of, develop a trust and confidence with those guys, and that helps those guys play better. And, that sort of hadn't all gelled on our team yet, but I've seen a lot of improvement since that time. I've been really surprised in a good way, the way Blake Sims has played, the confidence that he's gained in the way he's played, the leader that he's become, how his teammates, he's been affected his teammates and how they trust and believe in him. Because there was a time around here where I know none of our fans and most of our players probably didn't think Blake could be the quarterback. So he's disproved a lot of people in terms of the way he's played. Now, he's got a lot of challenges, ahead of him with playing against, better people. But he's certainly done everything that you could ask any player to do to represent his position and his leadership at his position as well as anybody, really could. Other than that, defensively, we got a few guys hurt in the secondary, but I've been really pleased with the way some of the younger guys have developed. All right, so they're going to get some opportunities now because of that. But other than that, I'm not surprised by a lot. All right, I kind of expect things to happen. All right, as fans, you all have an expectation that we're just going to have a perfect team all the time. And I know that's not going to be the case, even though that's what we coach for, that's what we try to get, that's what you want. And I really don't want a bunch of players who are worried about making a mistake, because we're all going to make mistakes. It's how you respond to the mistakes in the game and how you play the next play. I mean, mature teams. I think the San Antonio Spurs are a great example of a team that's really a team. Yep. They really are a hardworking team. They play together. They probably execute better than any other team in the league. They're not necessarily the most talented. And their energy comes from all those things in terms of how they play together and the unity that they have. Nobody talks about them. They all talk about the Heat and this team and that team, and then who wins?
Yeah.
All right? I mean, these guys have won 4 championships, and they do it sort of together by the way they play together, execute together, you know, and they have poise. And they're able to play the next play. When something bad happens, they respond. So that's really what you want your team to do. I used to tell these guys, you got to be a relentless competitor, man. You got to go play the next play. You know, Freddy Krueger. I mean, that's what all them scary movies are about. You know, you can't kill the guy. You remember that, right?
That laugh from Marcus Spears, pretty good football player at LSU with the Cowboys.
He's heard all this stuff before.
Marcus, is this? I mean, the one thing that I know about Nick Saban is he's a creature of habit. So, a lot of things he's saying you've heard many, many times, haven't you?
I've heard many times. You know, just being in here in front of you guys. Let me tell you, when I went to LSU, when I decided to sign with LSU, I was one of the last guys to commit. And it was because of this guy. And I had every coach in the country came to my home and told me, I came out of high school as a tight end. And every coach came in my home and said, we about to change the offense for you. You're the type of player that we going to do all of this different stuff to get you involved in the offense. And the first thing Coach Saban told me when he came to my house is I'm going to play my best players. And my mom and dad had a great level of respect for that. And he said, don't make a 4-year decision. Make a 40-year decision. And I am this man, I am a product of what he put into me. And it's been a lot of people. Miss Terry also. And I tell people all the time, I'm just the makeup of everybody that put into me. Yeah. And to see him have a level of success, you know, it doesn't matter. Obviously, we have our LSU, Alabama battles, but for me, it's more about coach. And I'm just happy to see the success that he's had.
Well, I'm glad
I really appreciate this guy saying that, but I have something to add to it because I remember this recruiting story too. All right, he wanted to be a tight end, and I wanted to be a defensive end. I'm going to be straight up honest. All right, so I couldn't talk him into it, so I went and got the franchise numbers for the NFL tight ends. And it was low. All right, and then I got the franchise numbers for the NFL defensive end, and it was really high.
I went for the dollars.
And that was the end of the story. He was all set.
And as he says, that worked out pretty well.
Yeah. Well, all right, now then. You're talking tight ends here. First question from the Nick Saban Show blog at AL.com from Ernie in Huntsville. Coach, we have exceptionally talented tight ends. Why are they not being used as frequent targets as pass receivers, especially in the red zone?
Look, I love our tight ends, all right, but that stuff I was talking about before, about how our fans characterize our players, based on what? All right, I mean, based on what? I mean, if a guy plays one play and makes an interception, he's a fantastic player, very talented, exceptional player. All right, so, you know, I just would ask the question, who would you rather us not give it to?
Yeah.
Number 4, number 27, number 17, number 9. How about number 2's coming back this week? Even 22. I mean, you know, you got to stand in line.
One ball.
There's one ball.
One ball.
Okay, and look, I love our tight ends. I mean, I love them. And I think there's going to be a time this year, and it may be this weekend, all right, that they're going to have to make plays for us in our offense. All right, but I also think that our players get affected by this very sort of expectation that people have. All right, why aren't I making plays? Well, you know, my answer to the player, not the fan, is are you doing all the things that you should do in terms of executing, paying attention to detail, doing the little things right, so that you will make plays. All right, and don't listen to that other noise, because I'm only evaluating it on what I see, because I'm not listening to that.
Yeah. All right, we're at the half hour. Okay. Let's pause 10 seconds right now for station identification. This is the Crimson Tide Sports Network. Do game day right with the latest innovations from LG. From the kitchen to the living room, LG has you covered. Come check out the latest in LG innovations at your local Best Buy or online at bestbuy.com/LG. It's all possible with LG. This is the Crimson Tide Sports Network from Learfield Sports.
Tide fans, make University Mall part of your football weekend game plan. Avoid the campus traffic. Take the Tuscaloosa Charter Tide Ride from University Mall to Bryant-Denny and back for just $10. While you're here, enjoy great shopping, dining, the area's best selection of Bama fan gear, and special Crimson weekend savings. We're West Alabama's in place to shop for over 30 years. That's University Mall. Roll Tide.
On game day, whether it's on the field or at the tailgate, the best rise to the top. Because when the Crimson Tide are driving to victory, there's no compromise. That's why Ford delivers available EcoBoost engine technology that offers a winning combination of power and efficiency. Just another reason why Ford is America's best-selling brand. Check out F-150, Fusion, Escape, and the all-new Expedition at your local Ford dealer. America's best-selling brand based on 2013 calendar year sales.
4 years ago, the national economy was draining hope from Alabama. Over 9% unemployment with no business growth.
There is never freedom for the breadwinner who is dependent on the government.
Governor Bentley focused on creating jobs.
We will put Alabama back to work.
Airbus has announced the opening of a new assembly plant.
Remington is announcing plans to open a large new plant in Alabama.
This is becoming standard fare, another major company announcing a move to Alabama.
Since Governor Bentley first took office, 40,000 jobs have been created. 60,000 more jobs are on their way. Unemployment is down over 20%, and the business confidence and hiring index is the highest since 2006. But the real credit goes to the hard-working men and women of Alabama.
When Alabama is at full employment, it will mean that along with a job, we have restored hope and purpose to thousands of fellow citizens.
Governor Bentley, working for Alabama. Paid for by Bentley for Governor, P.O. Box 5047, Montgomery, Alabama, 36103.
Play clock down to 5-4. Some confusion. 3-2. Gets the snap away. Sims tries to go upfield. He's going to run it outside. He turns on the Jets. He's going to beat everybody to the goal line. Touchdown, Alabama. Wake Sims turns on the afterburners and gives Alabama their second touchdown of the day.
Welcome back to the Nick Saban Show, presented by Alpha Insurance. For the best agents in the business, call Alpha. We're live at Bob's Victory Grill in Tuscaloosa. Our media guest tonight from ESPN.com, Joe Tessitore and Marcus Spears. You two gentlemen heard the coach talking about Blake Sims. To me, it's so great to see a guy who's stuck around for 5 years now and done everything in the world the coaches wanted him to do, and now he's finally being rewarded.
I agree with you. I also think that we get so caught up nowadays in everybody thinking they're a quarterback expert.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, how many quarterback experts we got up at ESPN, Marcus?
100,000.
We got guys analyzing before the draft. But all the fans think they're quarterback experts too. And then you sit back and you talk to a coach and you talk to people who are with quarterbacks every day, and you hear them talk about everything but pure arm talent.
Yeah.
All the intangibles, and then one of those key words that often gets lost, and that's communication, and the ability to simply communicate and be organized and get a team in and out of what they need to be in and out of, and get the formation right and get the play right.
And inspire his teammates, too.
Absolutely. Well, I'm on record for saying that, I was able to come down and interview Coach earlier this summer and also see the team practice. And I was impressed with the way the guys responded when Blake was in practice. You could tell that it was a better rapport. And I didn't necessarily know if that would translate into him being the starter and being full-time. But as a player, from a player's perspective, when guys are responding. I've been around a few quarterbacks in my career, and you just see that guys have a little bit more familiarity. It's a little bit more comfortability. You've been around. We grant you the right to talk to us a certain type of way, and I saw that in practice, and I went on record saying I thought Blake Sims would have success playing quarterback here.
Well, all right. Second half hour, you get the first question, Marcus.
Coach, Blake Sims tomorrow. It's going to be a little different challenge for him. the preparation, seeing different looks from Will, you know that how has his preparation been this week, getting ready for this defense?
Right. Well, I think, Blake has done a really good job, but I think what's going to happen is the speed of the game is going to be a little faster because they have good team speed. The pass rushers are going to be a little better. The coverage is going to be a little closer because they play a lot more man-to-man than anybody we've played so far. So, the throw's got to be a little better. And also, it's not just the quarterback to me. I always make the statement it's really hard to play well at quarterback if the people around you don't play well. Probably the toughest position in football to play well if the people around you don't play well. So what's going to be really important for Blake is I think the offensive line does a really good job of giving him the opportunities to make plays. The receivers do a really good job of running the routes right, get out of the breaks, make some separation, against man-to-man. So the game's not going to be so hard for him. I really think that's really, really critical, in this game. Probably more critical than any game that we've played to this point. Now, he's got to execute and do his part of it, which he's done a really good job of to this point. And I think Lane has done a really good job with him and how we sort of manage, our offense now, which really helps Blake. It really does help Blake. So that's probably a good thing. But I will say this, and I out of all respect for Jake, if Jake had been here for a longer time and had the opportunity to develop the relationships and the rapport and have the comfort and confidence in the terminology and all that, I think he would be much further along now as a player as well. And I do think that's going to be a little bit of a work in progress for us, but it's going to be very important because there may be some time where he has to play.
Right.
And we need him to play.
Joe?
Coach, I want to ask you something about your own personal and professional development. I mean, you've been considered great for a long time now. I consider you almost like a master craftsman, the way you go about how you build your team and how you take on your profession. How do you think you're better at what you do now than even 3, 4, 5, 6 years ago as you continue to grow in what you do? How do you think you're a better coach?
I have more patience.
Yeah.
What? Miss Terry.
Miss Terry just gave the thumbs down, I think.
I mean, it may have gone from none to a little bit, but I still have more.
Okay. I want to love a little bit.
I do have more. I honestly do. I really spend more time, talking to players about their issues and problems and things that I want them to do better to make them realize how what they're doing affects them, as opposed to just getting sort of upset with them in the old days. And they seem to respond better, that you really talk through things with them and they understand, where you're coming from and how what they're doing is really affecting their ability to be successful. So I do think, and it may be none to a little bit, but I still have more.
And Tom, what's funny about that is I actually quote coach to my kids and even some kids that I coach back home in the Northeast.
Yeah.
You said many times that high achievers have very little patience for mediocrity.
That's right.
That's something you say often. And I've been repeating that now in recent years, so I'm glad to see that you feel like you have a little more patience.
I tell people all the time, my favorite one was, it was after a game and we won, but he was so upset about how we played. And he said, I want a bunch of wolves. I'm tired of sheep. I want a bunch of wolves. And that was the impatient part, because it went a lot worse than what I just said. But it worked out.
All right, here at Bob's Victory Grill, we got another fan who wants to ask a question. Who are you? Where are you from?
My name is Rick Edmonds, and I'm from Brent, Alabama.
Go for it, Brent.
My name is Rick Edmonds from Brent, Alabama.
We got you.
How you doing?
Fine. Coach Saban,
Yes,
since
sir.
Coach Moore has passed, would you consider maybe when you retire at age 80 to write a book and tell the Bama Nation how the process began? Because I would definitely buy it.
Well, you know, I wrote a book once, and I've been asked to write a book a lot of times. But, you know, my problem is and I'm not throwing anybody under the bus here, but I had a co-writer. He wrote the book. I read it, and I rewrote the whole book. Because I just wanted it to be a good book, and I wanted it to be representative of the things and the stories that told like I tell them, not like somebody else would tell them. So it takes a lot of time. Maybe one day, you know, last week I talked about I'm looking forward to going to a tailgate. I've never been to a tailgate, you know, in all these years. Yeah, I can tell.
That's you, last 3 weeks, first time in your life, right?
All right, but so, you know, maybe one of these days, you know, I'll sit and write a book. But I want to just say something that you mentioned, you know, Mount War. I mean, I just hope that the people, our fans, the tradition that we have here, and all the people who have contributed to it, you know, never forget all the great things that Mal Moore did for this place over many, many, many years. And I mean, he was a wonderful friend to me, and was very helpful and supportive to me. And one of the reasons that I felt so comfortable being the coach here is I never felt like I was ever getting judged or second-guessed in any way, and always was supported in a way that, you know, was very, very helpful to developing the program the way he wanted it and the way we wanted it.
Let's go to the Academy Sports and Outdoors hotline to Hartselle, where Joe's on the line. Roll Tide, Joe. How you doing?
Oh, Tom, I'm doing great.
Hey, Joe. How you doing, man?
I'm doing great, Coach.
Good.
Right, quick question. Who do you see the most improvement in on offensive, defensive line?
Most improvement? Well, I talked about the offensive line earlier, and, you know, I talked about Cam Robinson and his development as a freshman and how he progressed and played his best game last week, and hopefully he'll continue to be able to do that. Now, you know, competition's going to ramp up, you know, a little bit here, and it'll be challenging for him. But on the defensive line, I guess I didn't talk much about those guys. But, you know, Jonathan Allen has really become a really, really consistent good player for us. Played some last year as a freshman, but he's been probably one of our most productive guys, you know, this year. I've been really pleased with the way we've been able to get some pressure on the quarterback with the four-man rush, with multiple, you know, players. And but I think, you know, that's probably the guy that's improved the most, and hopefully that bunch will continue to improve, and some of the newcomers that we have will continue to make a good contribution, whether it's Jaron Reed or Petway or, you know, Ashawn Robinson was hurt in camp some, and, you know, he's just getting kind of back into it, and he's a hard guy to block when he gets healthy. So we have some higher expectations for the defensive line and the offensive line, actually, but both groups were pleased with their progress.
Second question from the Nick Saban Show blog at AL.com. Adam in Tyler, Texas, says the hurry-up, no-huddle offenses limit what blitzes and formations defense can use. It can give offenses a distinct advantage. What do you try to do to limit that advantage?
Well, you know, I think the important thing is you have to adapt how you practice, you know, and you have to adapt what you do in practice and make sure that whatever you're doing in practice can be implemented in the game. All right, and we suffered through this a couple times last year, and big time in the Oklahoma game in the Sugar Bowl, is, you know, we like to play 6 defensive backs on third down. Well, and we have a whole package of stuff that, you know, Marcus knows about, different blitzes, utilizing players, moving players around different places, creating matchups and problems for them to block guys and all that. Well, you spend a lot of time coaching this stuff, and you spend a lot of time practicing it, and you play against a no-huddle team, and if they don't change personnel for third down, you can't put it in the game. And if they let you put it in the game, you can't take them out when they make a first down. So now you're stuck with these guys in the game that might not be able to play the run or whatever, or you don't have the right positions in there. So it is a distinct advantage. So what you have to do is you have to make a decision. Like last week, we said we're only going to play dime when they have 4 wideouts in the game, and we're going to have to play everything else in nickel. Now, we might be able to get a rabbit front in there, which means a faster pass rush group, But we can't practice all this stuff with 5 defensive backs and then turn around and put 6 defensive backs and practice a whole bunch of different stuff. So it really limits what you can do, because if you practice it all, you can't play it in the game. And that's a real problem. So I think we've gotten a little better at that. And it limits what we can do, but at least what we're doing, we got to practice quite a bit, and we're more prepared to be able to execute it in the game.
All right, one final break during the show, and then a few final questions for the coach. First of all, though, Protective Life Insurance Company wants to know what your protective odds. Share your story on Facebook or Twitter with the hashtag #IamProtective. For every post or tweet with that hashtag, Protective Life will donate $1 to Nick's Kids Fund, up to $10,000. Protective Life, our mission is in our name. Find out more at iam.protective.com. This is the Crimson Tide Sports Network from Learfield Sports.
A boy born in Joplin, Missouri was fascinated by anything with wheels and a motor. The odds of him going on to fascinate millions with his talent, 1 in 260,000. The odds of him having 15 career NASCAR victories, 1 in 1.7 million. The odds of a child being diagnosed with autism, 1 in 68. I'm Jamie McMurray, and my niece has autism. Learn more at autismspeaks.org/signs. Brought to you by Autism Speaks and the Ad Council.
When I have an asthma attack, I feel scared. It's kind of like an elephant is on my chest. I feel like I'm choking. Sometimes my parents have to take me to the hospital.
You know how to react to their asthma attacks. Here's how to prevent them. Visit www.noattacks.org or call your doctor, because even one attack is one too many.
I feel like a fish with no water.
Brought to you by the EPA and the Ad Council.
I'm John, a volunteer at United Way. I'm here at Lincoln Elementary School to find out what this place needs. Who knows better about what kids need than kids, right? Let's ask them.
Monsters! Lasers! A pool! Another guinea pig! More lasers! Sprinkles!
I was thinking more spinach at lunchtime and maybe more exercise.
Nah. Lasers are cool.
When it comes to creating healthier communities, what this place needs is you. To donate or volunteer, go to UnitedWay.org, because great things happen when we live united. Brought to you by United Way and the Ad Council.
My name is Dale Pazinski, and this is how I live united. I volunteer with United Way, helping the homeless in my community by teaching computer skills and helping them build a basic resume to save on their very own USB drive. It's huge when somebody says, "Hey man, that job that you helped me apply for, I got it." My name is Dale Pazinski. I help people achieve financial independence. So I don't just wear the shirt, I live it.
Give, advocate, volunteer, live united. Go to liveunited.org. Brought to you by United Way and the Ad Council.
Here now the handoff behind the block of Fowler. Opening, Kenyon Drake. See ya! Out of the eye, it works. Touchdown, Alabama.
One of 3 touchdowns scored by Kenyon Drake last week in the Tide's victory over Southern Mississippi. Welcome back to the Nick Saban Show, presented by Alpha Insurance. For the best agents in the business, call Alpha. We're sitting here at Bob's Victory Grill in Tuscaloosa. Joe and Marcus, you just heard Eli Gold calling the run by Kenyon Drake. My contention is there are so many weapons on this offense, and we've talked about a lot of them tonight, but the running backs. Marcus, you've seen Derrick Henry. Would you want to get in front of the guy?
No, when I saw him, when I saw him the first time, I thought he was an outside linebacker. I was able to go to practice, and this rushing attack mixed with the guys that's on the outside, like Coach was talking about. If this offensive line performs well, this is going to be a really hard team to beat. I mean, anybody in the country, and they've experienced a lot of success here, in the recent years with Coach, but I don't think the weapons, I don't think the playmakers are a question. I think this front on the offensive line, if they're able to dominate, and I like using the term dominate.
Yes.
If they can dominate opponents up front, I don't think it's any team with as many guys as they have.
Joe, you and Marcus both get one final question for the coach.
I got one final question.
All right.
Coach, I think it's a great thing that you don't read a lot and get on the internet, because you cringe with some of the analysis that's out there compared to the reality of what you know on your team. But I do want to ask you one question about the media. My dear friend, Tom Rinaldi, He's become your man through the years. Why Tom? What is it that you like about Tom and your relationship with him? He's one of my closest friends. What is it about Tom Rinaldi that you like so much?
You know, people think I don't like the media. That's not true at all. You know, I have some great friends in the media. I really respect people who do a good job professionally in terms of, you know, how they ask you questions and whether they're trying to create some kind of a controversy or whether they're really trying to just get information that people would be interested in. And one of the things that I really enjoy about Tom is he does that, you know, in a real sort of calm way. He never puts you on the defensive. You never feel uncomfortable when you're in an interview with him. But I will say this, and we kind of have this joking thing that, you know, we kind of go through quite a bit, and I have a lot of respect for him as a person. But there's a lot of other people out there that I like, and I like you too. You do a great job at what you do, and the times that you've interviewed me, it's been first class and very professional. So I really do appreciate that.
Thank you.
Marcus?
My one final question. It's been on me for a minute. How has the type of player that you recruit changed now that you have to deal with these spread up-tempo offenses? Because I remember we used to talk a lot about matchups when we played defense. Do you see a different kind of linebacker, a different kind of safety, up front as well? Is it a different player you're recruiting now that you may have recruited 5 to 7 years ago?
I don't think there's any question about it. I think that I think you still have to have the big physical players, but you just can't have them. Because you're going to play teams like when we play LSU that are going to get in the I formation and run the ball down here. They're going to have a big physical offensive line. You're going to have some big guys to be able to hold the point up front. But when you play these spread teams, you have to be more athletic at almost every position. And I'm talking about there's no such thing as a strong safety anymore. You know, the old-fashioned, you know, guy that comes down and plays cover 3 and goes and blows up the run. You better be able to cover the guy in the slot because you're going to get a lot of 4 wide out, 4, you know, open formations where a guy's going to have to cover a guy in space and he's got tackle in space. Yeah. All right, so you got to have a different kind of athletic ability about you. And the same thing with corners. I mean, you know, playing little corners probably is harder now than ever before because the receivers are bigger. And even though these teams are in the spread, when the back gets to you, he's a bigger guy for you to have to tackle. Where in the old days when everything was, I call it wad ball, everything was wadded up, the ball very seldom ever got to the guy. He never had to tackle anybody. So now it's a bubble pass or something where he's going to have to tackle a bigger guy. So to me, almost at every position, linebackers, you know, the big guys that can just thump the guard, I mean, they got to be able to play in space. Yeah. I mean, because there's going to be 4 wideouts out there, and they're going to have to drop and match to somebody. And whether you're playing match zone, man-to-man, they got to be able to move around well enough to stay with the guy and get him on the ground. You know, even when you're playing zone and it's underneath coverage, because you're so spread out. Yeah. I mean, even when people get empty, you're so spread out. You know, in the old period when I started coaching, everybody was in here, and they called them horizontal patterns. We're going to run from in here and stretch the field sideways. They just line up there now.
They start that way.
They just start that way. Yeah. So you're spread out before the ball ever snaps. Yeah. All right, so you better have, people have to walk in space and have to play in space. Pass rushing, guys that can play the athletic quarterback in the read zone. You got to have guys on the edges that are athletic enough to get the guy on the ground. I mean, so it's a different type of, and so I don't know that it's just different types of players. You have to have more types of players on defense right now, and you got to recruit them. Because if you have all the same kind of guys, you may play well against a certain kind of offense, but you won't be able to hold up against something else. Yeah. And we kind of got caught up in that a little bit last year because we had so many big guys. When we played against the spread teams, we didn't have enough athletic guys to be able to get them on the ground.
Marcus Spears, Joe Tessitore, enjoyed having you guys. Thanks for being here.
Oh, it's great to be here.
I really appreciate these guys. I really do.
All right, you get the final word presented by Mercedes-Benz.
Well, I think this is going to be a big test for our team. I think our fans know that. Florida has a great tradition. They've got a good football team, the best team we played athletically so far this year. And I think it's really, really going to be important that we have great enthusiasm, great energy. You know, energy comes from togetherness and people playing together and being together, and I think that's going to be really important in our stadium, you know, this week. They're going to be no huddle. They go on signals a lot, but I still think, you know, this team can be affected by noise, and I think it's going to be really important that we have the most enthusiastic, best crowd that we've had in years in Bryant-Denny Stadium on Saturday for this game.
Thanks, Coach. Roll Tide.
Roll Tide.
We'll come back, wrap things up in a moment. This is the Crimson Tide Sports Network from Learfield Sports.
A ranger station.
I'd like to report a bear hug.
Okay.
I put out my campfire and Smokey Bear hugged me.
So you drowned the fire, you stirred it, drowned it again, and felt that it was cold?
Uh-huh.
Yeah, he's just letting you know you did good.
Bear hug from Smokey Bear. Status update.
I'm gonna let you go now. There are many ways to start a fire, but one sure way to put it out. Learn how you can do your part at SmokeyBear.com.
Sponsored by the U.S. Forest Service, Ad Council, and your state forester.
So, who's going to do what? Flashlights?
Nowhere to be found.
Emergency supply kits?
Not packed.
What about blankets?
We have an old towel.
Cell phones?
May not work.
Emergency water?
Not a drop.
Perfect. We all know where we're meeting if we're separated.
The library. On Jones' house. The bus stop.
And I'll be waiting here wondering where you all are. Great. It sounds like we don't have a plan.
Winging it is not an emergency plan. Make sure your kids know what to do during an emergency, who to call, where to meet, what to pack. Visit ready.gov/kids for tips and information. Brought to you by FEMA and the Ad Council.
On the next episode of Recipes for Disaster.
I'm making beef sliders for my friend Sandy. Nana taught me to always pull meat off the grill early so it's extra juicy.
Use a food thermometer to ensure ground beef is 160 degrees, or you could make people really sick. Sandy didn't think twice about the slider she ate until yoga class, when a nasty case of food poisoning turned her downward-facing dog into upward-moving lunch. Watch Recipes for Disaster at foodsafety.gov and learn the steps Maria unwittingly leaves out. Brought to you by the USDA, HHS, and the Ad Council.
How to be a great dad in 15 seconds. Bike ride, go fish, walk in the park, phone call, milkshake, play catch, picnic, fly a kite, tell jokes, laugh, talk, read a story, tell a story, bumper car, swing set, bowling, pillow fight, cut loose, stay tight. Whew. Because the smallest moments can have the biggest impact on a child's life. Take time to be a dad today. Call 877-4DAD-411 or visit fatherhood.gov. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services and the Ad Council.
Game day brings out the best in all of us. Leadership, teamwork, tradition, spirit. These are the things we love about college athletics. They're also the values that drive the associates at Regions Bank to bring you the products, advice, and financial guidance you need to move life forward. Because at Regions, every day is game day. Regions, official bank of the SEC. Regions Bank, member FDIC.
The Learfield Sports Directors Cup honors the nation's best overall collegiate athletic program in each division, men's and women's sports. The prestigious award continues its reign as the crowning achievement in college athletics, noting the remarkable efforts of student athletes and their institutions. To follow your favorite team, like us on Facebook. Find us in USA Today, online, and on Twitter at LS Directors Cup. Over 2 decades of excellence, the Learfield Sports Directors Cup.
Well, that does it for this edition of Hey Coach and the Nick Saban Show, presented by Alpha Insurance. We thank you for joining us tonight and had a great show. Thoroughly enjoyed it. Hope you'll join us on Saturday morning at 11:30. That's when we'll hit the air from right here at Bob's Victory Grill as Todd Robbins and Tyler Watts take you around the SEC. Then we'll be on the air at 12:30 from the Crimson Tide tailgate party outside of Bryant-Denny Stadium, right at the corner of Wallace Wade Drive and University Boulevard. So join us out there. The 2 captains, Dan Curley and Mickey Andrews, and the 64 national champions, will be out there signing autographs. We'll talk with them on the air as well. Thank you all for joining us tonight. Our thanks to Jerry and Jan back in the studio, to Neil and all the folks here at Bob's Victory Grill, and to Tom Stipe, who had to slide off the side of a stage tonight to produce our show so we could get everybody up here. Most of all, as I said, we thank all of you for joining us. Hope you'll be with us Saturday morning at 11:30. Until then, roll Tide. Let's go beat the Gators.
Live from Bob's Victory Grill in Tuscaloosa, this has been Hey Coach, presented by Alpha. For the best agents in the business, call Alpha. Also brought to you by Coke Zero. Real Coke taste, 0 calories. Bud Light, the perfect beer when you're up for whatever. Your Alabama Ford dealers. Alabama Saturdays, built Ford tough. And by Golden Flake, the official chip of the Crimson Tide. The preceding has been a presentation of the Crimson Tide Sports Network, a property